questions and answers. We are dealing with Belarusia. Second question, third question. Then we first take, he put the third question first before the second question. So let us, so I can read from the third. Huh? Should we recognize, become aware of our habits and hatred and transform them, or build new habits with desires and hatred so that they are useful for our life? Of course. This process is very well described in the scriptures. There is a Salayatana Vibhanga of the middle discourses. Very wonderful this description of that process. One has to, first one starts the training by removing the unwholesome pleasant feeling by wholesome pleasant feeling. Then, when one has a wholesome pleasant feeling, one will be more sensitive to the unwholesome unpleasant feeling, which has to be removed with wholesome unpleasant feeling. That means, what is wholesome unpleasant feeling? It is the disenchantment from the samsaric minds and feelings that one experiences. And finally, remove the unwholesome equanimity with wholesome equanimity. So, everybody, all beings, we have already explained, they search for only one thing. All beings search for one thing, that is happiness. Even those whose mind is twisted completely, who are sadists and masochists, they actually search for happiness, only their mind is completely distorted. So, one has to replace the enthusiasm for the unwholesome, pleasant feelings which come from attachments, with wholesome desires, for doing good things, for meditating. These states of happiness and these habits are much more satisfactory than the bad habits of drinking, finding pleasure in drinking alcohol or smoking or or indulging in sex. Naturally for the lay people, sex is very pleasurable experience, but indulging in it too much is suffering, nothing else. So these habits have to be changed in the pure habits. So similarly, the dislikings, they are very harmful disliking, hate. And there is a wholesome disliking, that is with one's bad habits. And should we recognize, become aware, and get rid of desires and hatred? It is a process. Like according to Buddhism, everything we experience in our life is a process. As the wise Heraclitus has in Greece has described, one never enters twice into the same river. All we experience is a process, and our experiences, when we are more and more aware, we will also be aware, are never exactly the same. It always has a quality of change. Also, this is a wonder of the karma. Not two beings, even twins, are never the same. Not even two cats and two dogs, not even two squirrels, you will find exactly the same. Similarly, our experience in samsara is always has a quality of difference. So, when one meditates, one will be more and more aware. When one is more and more aware, the mind will become more and more subtle. So, one's likings and dislikings will become more subtle. It is a fact that those who are detached can enjoy the senses much more than those who are not detached. Even so, it sounds as a paradox. All things in life will be much more intensive when we learn detachment. Detachment is what purifies the senses. When the senses are purified, become very sensitive, one can experience far more subtle nuances of liking and disliking. This makes the mind more and more subtle. So, the process of liberation is also the process of changing the habits. One who has practiced for a long time, he will be able to get more subtle understanding of this process. One who only cares about liberation quickly, he may attain it, but he will not have this subtlety of the understanding of habits which rule the world. Are there other options if 2, 3, which method are offered? The method of practicing the paramis, we will talk about it, the perfections which enable one to purify one's habits. Just think how deep is in us the habit of keeping things rather than giving things. How deep in us is a habit of displeasure with those who do not are not behaving as we would like them to behave, instead of understanding them. So, how deep in us is the habit of refusing suffering rather than to open oneself to it. How deep in us is the habit of laziness. So this changing of the habits is a long, long process. And the best way to do it efficiently is to find enthusiasm, passion in training in meditation and wisdom. The training in meditation and wisdom can completely transform the personality only when it is accompanied with the thorough transformation of our habits, of practicing generosity, of practicing non-anger, of practicing opening towards suffering, and of practicing effort. As few of the participants have made good progress in gaining mindfulness, is it possible to have them share their experience of overcoming meditation obstacles so that other participants can benefit from it? I am not the one who can decide if the participants who are doing well wants to share. Of course, it is very nice. And there is Saturday. Saturday is tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Every Saturday we have no lecture, we have free discussion. So this is a good topic for free discussion for the participants who are doing well in meditation to share their experience. And on Sunday I have been requested by some participants to recite and explain, because next week we will emphasize the bodhisattva practice of the meditation, of the parami. So I have been requested to translate into English, recite in Sanskrit and translate into English the Namo Holata Notolaya Namo Alaya Polocheti Supolaya Bujisatopoya Mohosatopoya and so on. In Chinese, no meaning. In Sanskrit, all has meaning. And this meaning is very deep. So on Sunday as a beginning for the next week, some brief explanation of the peculiarities of the Bodhisattva meditation practice. We will start with explanation of the Tapejo, the mantra of the big compassion. Why? Please you tell me. Because the opening of the practice of the Bodhisattva meditation comes from the big compassion. If no big compassion, no big Bodhisattva practice. If big compassion, big Bodhisattva practice becomes possible. Can you please explain the difference in meaning between detachment and equanimity? Actually, they are the same. When we speak technically, when we speak of equanimity, we are in Sanskrit, it means upeksha. Upeksha comes from the Sanskrit root iksh for the students of the Sanskrit, which means seeing. And upa means deprivative here, or near. Both meanings are there. It means seeing in the sense of neither of impartiality, as we have explained, neither hanging to the pleasant nor pushing away the unpleasant. That is the meaning of upeksha. Sure. In Chinese, the upeksha is translated as sure, which means just letting go, fangxia. Now, detachment is the translation generally from viraga. We have just explained that viraga or detachment in Buddhism is the highest of all our experience, of all our phenomena. And viraga comes from the vi is again a deprivative, no, and raga is actually from the Sanskrit root ranch, which means to be colored. Viraga means not to be colored by the object. The color that gives that colors the mind is actually passion. So viraga means the process of becoming dispassionate. When one becomes dispassionate, one is not colored by the object. The mind is not colored by the object. So the mind can see clearly. So the process of detachment and the process of equanimity, they are very closely connected. So, in fact, by becoming equanimous, you can detach. It is by seeing with impartiality that one can detach. If one sees through passions, one will be colored by the object, and the mind has no ability to see clearly. Xiu Guan Zhi, Qian Gong Shi, Hui You Guan Huo Yan Si Chu Lai Ma. When one practices Vipassana, can there be, the meaning is probably on the breath, can there be light or color coming? Of course, there can be, but this is not used for samadhi. It is a light of the vipassana. Both the wisdom and the concentration make the rupa object clear. So they have the similar function of illumining the object. When the mind has concentration and when the mind has wisdom, so the color and the fire element of the kalapas become very bright. It has to do also with the chi, with there is both the mind and the rupa. They have this it is called the subtle, how it is called in English, that part which like a chi, which brings energy to it, nourishes it. That is that part of the is mental aspect, and it has also the rupa aspect. The chi has mental aspect and it has a rupa aspect. Both aspects are there. Ru he shi xiu guan qian gong. Ru he shi xiu guan qian gong. How to succeed in vipassana. One has to learn step by step. When one succeeded, one will become an arahat. Vipassana, we have said, is the synonym for wisdom. So one has to start by differentiating with wisdom the elements of our experience. Then one has to see them in the process of appearing and disappearing in each and every moment of perception. Then one will step by step succeed in Vipassana. You mentioned yesterday that Vitaka and Vichara are responsible for language. Does this mean when one achieves second dhyana or above, language ability is impaired? Not impaired at all. But no one will speak in the dhyana. Only when one is out of dhyana, he will speak. When I watch Dhamma lessons on DVD, the Dhamma teachers often speak very slowly. Is this because they are in a state of dhyana? They are not in the state of dhyana, but they are in the state of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the base for dhyana. Without mindfulness, no dhyana. The mindfulness is that which makes the mind firmly established on the object, so that one can remember the object, right? We have explained that process already. Venerable, tomorrow already. So sharing, that is a good question. Sharing will be Saturday with a cup of tea and we have some fun. We may prepare some biscuits as well. So, Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Karaniya matta kusalena yantang santang padam abhisamecce. Sako uju che suju che suvacho chasse mudu anatimani. Santu sako che subaro che apakkicho che salahukavuti. Santindriyo che nipako che apangabo kulesu ananugindo. Nachakuddang samachare kinchi yenye vinyu pare upavadeyum Sukino va khemino hontu sabbe satta bhavantu sukitatta Yeke chipana bhutatti tasava tavarava anavasesa Digha ye mahantava majima rasakha anakatulla Diktha ye va addittha ye chadure vasanti avidure Bhuta va sambhave siva sabbe satta bhavantu sukitatta Naparo param nikubbete na atimanyete katanchinam kamchi Vyarosana patighasanya na anyamanyasa dukham michaiye Mata yata niyam putta mayusa eka putta manurakhe Evampi sababhute sumanasam bhavaye aparimanam Mettancha sabbalokasmin manasam bhavaye aparimanam Udang adoche tiriyanche asambadam naveram asapattam Thittan charan nisinnova sayanova yavatassa vigatamindo Etam satim naditteye brahmam etam viharam idam ahu Drittincha nupaggama silava dasanena sampanno Kame suvineya gedham nahi jatu gambaseyam punaretiti Akasatta chabummatta deva naga mahidika Punyantang anumoditva chiram rakantu loka sasanang Akasatta chabummatta deva naga mahidika Punyantang anumoditva chiram rakantu desanang Akasatta chabummatta deva naga mahidika Punyantang anumoditva chiram rakantu mamparang Eta vata chammehi sampadam punya sampadam Sabbe deva anumodantu sabha sampati siddhya Eta vata chammehi sampadam punya sampadam Sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabha sampati siddhya Eta vata chammehi sampadam punya sampadam Sabbe satta anumodantu sabha sampati siddhya Bhavaga upadaya avici hetato Etantare satakaya upapana Rupi arupi cha asanya sanyino Dukha pamuchantu fusantu nibbuti Om Mito Bo